Hi guys, welcome to the J&J Boxing Podcast. I'm Aaron Joshua and I'm here with Jordan Henderson. We're going to talk about the results on the weekends, some interesting results, and we're going to talk about upcoming fights closing at the end of the year. So, what fight do you want to talk about first?
Let's talk about Haney versus Prograis. Yeah, that fight was pretty dominant display from Haney. I think we both alluded to the fact that we could see Haney on points
Yeah,
in our previous video. And I could see it even if he like when the guy loses but like he gets given the decision.
gets
I
in the
could see a
decision. Yeah,
scenario where Haney won like that. I could see him legitimately winning on points, and I could see Prograis by stoppage. But I think that Prograis, as we talked about in the gym, he needs you right in front of him to do
yeah,
his work.
definitely.
I think Josh Taylor maybe even flattered him a bit because Josh Taylor, despite having the height and reach, well, I don't actually think he's got the reach. I think he's actually a tall guy with maybe not the longest arms, but he has the height. But he collapses into the pocket a lot, Taylor. He likes to fight in the pocket. And
Yeah,
that gave Prograis the opportunity to land his cute sort of punches. Because the thing with Prograis, people are saying, "Oh, Haney's so much more skilled." I actually don't think so. I just think
yeah,
that stylistically, Prograis, he needs you to let him be good by you collapsing into the pocket.
exactly that,
Um,
exactly that.
Keep it on the outside, and you can get some work done. That's why even who's the guy that Prograis fought?
Just what the
The
fight
tall,
before.
not when he got dropped. The Irish guy from
Tyron McKenna.
that's it. So if
Yeah,
Tyron McKenna, I'm thinking if this guy actually used his height, he might have actually bagged some rounds.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
But he didn't do that. And then obviously the he did get dropped in that fight as well. Prograis. And I think that was interesting. That got me thinking back to, I know it's random, but Joshua versus Usyk, the first fight, because the success that Joshua had in the first fight was when he led with the straight right.
yeah,
He didn't try and sell it up behind any sort of lead hand, like his jab or using any lead hand setup. He literally would just snap, just lead
yeah,
with the
yeah.
straight right. That's when he was catching Usyk. And that's exactly what Haney did when he knocked down Prograis. It wasn't power,
Exactly.
it was
Prograis wasn't expecting it. He was flat-footed and he just led with the right hand because Haney wasn't doing that for the whole fight. He switched it up. So that definitely took Prograis by surprise, 100%.
I think that's something to try against the Southpaw, sometimes because
Yeah.
they always expect you to sell it up. It's like a
Well, look
game
at
of chess.
Chisora. Look at Chisora against Usyk. The success that he had was because he was leading with the right hand. And he was doing
Exactly.
that. He was spamming that. So the success he had, he was using that. So that is definitely something to do against a Southpaw. I think more boxers need to take in consideration. I think sometimes with boxers, they're so fixed set in what they do. Sometimes they always have to leave their lead hand. Sometimes maybe switch up a little bit.
Fall in love with or not fall in love, but they sort of get into a trance of that game of chess against the
Yeah,
Southpaw.
yeah, 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 yeah,
But if you're a bit more instinctive, you might actually catch them out. Uh,
yeah,
but yeah, I was surprised because when I looked at Billam Smith, I know he won the fight. I see the fans, the fans are like scoring box rec fights
yeah,
and
yeah,
that.
yeah.
People are giving it to Masterneck up
I
until the
saw
stoppage.
score around. I saw a score of like 6-1, 5-2, and with Mastinek, okay, he's not bad. He's all in his prime. He was a fringe world level guy, like around the top 10-ish. Couldn't really break the top 10. Obviously, he's 36, and you would think Billy Smith would deal with him, but maybe it's just the fact that Billy Smith isn't. I can't even say he's not at that level because I've never really been the biggest fan of Billy Smith. The Coley fight was a good win for him. I'm happy that he beat a Coley, but maybe it just shows the level of the cruiserweight division now. Like I before was always saying that Billy Smith would beat Riakporhe. I know Riakporhe beat him the first time. After that, I can really see Riakporhe beating him just because in every fight Billy Smith has, he's always getting hit, always getting hurt. Like you can't be relying on that chin all the time.
I have never liked the look. I try and be objective when I look at a fighter, and but obviously you do, we're not robots, we're people, and we feel things as well as think things. And I've never felt that Billum Smith is any great shakes. And
Yeah,
I,
100%. I agree on that.
I like, it's weird because he will get the job done, but at the same time, it's not changing my opinion. And it's like what I see with Billum Smith is he's physically strong, and I think that masks a lot of holes.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
I don't think. I mean, it's weird because he must have some technical skill and he must be doing something right to keep grinding out these results. But I'm always left scratching my head like, what is he doing that's great apart from his physical strength
yeah. I
and
was gonna
maybe
say that. I was
eh,
gonna say in terms of his physical strength, I think that's such a big factor. Like Balen Smith is a, in terms of height, he's not a big way. He's 6'3", so he's a decently sized cruiserweight. But as his physical strength, like he's very physically strong, and I think these fighters are not used to fighting someone that's physically strong, but it will catch up to him. I don't know
yeah,
against who, but it will definitely catch up to him because you can't be taking all these shots against these. Even Riakpo, like they're talking about that fight as next. I'm not really a big fan of Riakpo in terms of skills. I don't think he's world class like people are trying to make out. Like I remember him struggling against people like Sam Hyde, even Billum Smith. Dion Juma was piecing him up before he got the stoppage. So they're all hittable. It's just it does really show the level of the British cruiserweights. It might be harsh, but it does. Like I think they're all beatable. They can beat each other. So I think that actually makes it more of an exciting fight. But like you said, I agree with Bill and Smith. He's no great shakes. Like I've always seen him as around the European level. I know he's got a world championship, but like you said with Mastinek is fringe world. And prior to getting the stoppage, he was getting pieced up. So it does show Bill and Smith's level.
yeah. I feel like Billum Smith, if he was to face a Coley again, sometimes things just go wrong. Like you have these nights where everything just goes wrong.
Goes wrong.
And that
Yeah,
was a
yeah.
Coley versus Billum Smith. I think if a Coley fought Billum Smith again, I would maybe lean towards a Coley.
I would as well.
Um,
I think he'll actually stop Bill and Smith.
Yeah, I mean, even Riappo, like, do you see though? And you know what it is? Like, I would favor a Coley, and a Coley is physically stronger than Billum Smith. And then Riappo, another guy who's physically strong, and Billum Smith struggled in that one. I just think Billum Smith, he's very limited, but I always have to take my hat off because he always seems to get the results when, let me take
Exactly.
this for
Yeah, yeah.
example. Chamberlain was clearly the more skilled guy in there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but he was just unable to impose himself enough. Like Billum Smith was able to physically dominate Chamberlain to a degree where Chamberlain's superior skill set was sort of nullified.
Well,
Um,
Chamberlain's always going to have that problem because he's one of the unfortunate boxers that is too big for light heavyweight, like way too big for light heavyweight. He's a very thick set guy in terms of he's got big legs, but he's too small for cruiserweight, so he has to fight a cruiserweight. I think let's just say if it was against the British level lot, he would beat them all, as we saw he did against Lowell. But physicality does play a part, and that's why I always feel like he would never beat a top cruiserweight just because of the physicality. I actually rate Chamberlain as a boxer. I think he's got very good skills, criminally underrated. I think if Bill and Smith and Chamberlain were the same size, no doubt Chamberlain would win. But he always have that problem. So yeah, with Bill and Smith, I've got to give it to him. He keeps grinding out these results, but you can only do that so many times before it all comes crashing down. And I'm really interested to see the Reactable fight. They're talking about that next. So yeah, because I'm high on Reactable as well. So it'll be just a battle of who I rate a little bit more. So yeah,
yeah, man. And I will really want to talk to you about two heavyweights. We'll start off with the more recent one, and that is Tony Yoka versus Murhi. I hope I pronounced that right. Um,
yeah,
Yeah, man, you pointed that one out to me. I was just out chilling with my friend. I was out in the town and then I just
yeah,
see a text and I was just like, oh, Yoka lost again. I was like, wow, going
yeah.
there. Three losses in a row now. Like, where's it all gone wrong and where does Tony Yoka go next?
Interesting point. Obviously, he's lost three times in a row. You made an interesting point. Obviously, we know what happened with Yoka maybe 4 or 5 years ago. It was out for a year. We know why. Missed three tests. Ever since that, he's kind of lost the strength. He had a bit of punching power. Like you said to me yesterday, Dave Allen. Although everyone takes a mick out of him, he has got solid whiskers. Been in there with Ortiz, been in there with Price, never got dropped. Against Tony Yoka, he was getting bashed up. So obviously, coming back from whatever ban he's faced, he hasn't looked the same. In against Bacoli, he almost just sat there, went down willingly. Against Takam, he just shelled up. Takam didn't hurt him, but he just shelled up. And against Murphy, who's a cruiserweight, by the way, who lost to Kevin Lorena. I think obviously we
Mm.
know who Kevin Lorena is, but it's just like there's levels, there's levels. There's one thing losing to Bacoli and another thing losing to Murphy. So it's not even in terms of level. I think it's all mental. Like I feel like Yoko's kind of lost the belief in his skills. He's always been a bit fragile, always been a bit weak. He's changed his train up settings and it just hasn't seemed to work. So Olympic gold medalist, it just proves yet again that amateurs and professionals are two completely different sports.
Absolutely. Amateur and pro, two different things. So there's so many ways that we could talk about that. Maybe make a video about that one day.
Yeah,
Tony Yoka, I mean, let's put it this way. Martin Bacoli, he was Martin Bacoli, he's a strong puncher, but his output dropped so much in that fight. He was there to be beat, Martin Bacoli. But Tony Yoka chose to go to a. I always remember this 12th round. He was clearly down and he started like showboating, almost like he's going to make it to, like he was celebrating making it to the end. I don't know
yeah.
if you remember that in the 12th round. He started
Yeah, I do, I
showboating.
do. He started
Um,
showboating. I'm just like, you're losing me. Just hurry up.
exactly.
But
You should be
yeah,
going
it's a
in there.
mentality thing though. Like I say, it's a mentality thing. If you're celebrating getting the distance with Martin Boccoli, you're clearly not cut for the top echelon of the division. Like with Ryoka, like I say, I don't know how old he is. I think he's in his early 30s. It's 31. So I'll say you have time, but three losses in a row. This was supposed to be your comeback fight. So if you're
Rise
losing
up,
a
yeah.
comeback fight, it's just like, where do you go from here?
Yeah, it's hard to see where you go because what I say is this, before like pre whatever went on, I don't want to throw anything out there. I'm not trying to get sued, but pre what went on, punching harder, seemed to have a bit more zip, seemed to have a bit more determination about him. And then, he took out Johan Duopa, I believe, in the first round. Deontay
Yeah.
Wilder went 11 with him. Um,
Joe Miller went, I believe 8 or 9 with him.
distance.
Yeah.
Was
Oh,
it
distance. It
distance?
might have
Yeah, it
been the
was
distance.
distance.
Yeah. Okay.
Um, and then he went, he stopped David Allen, and David Allen back then was probably tougher than he is now.
Yeah.
And he was looking pretty dangerous. And then obviously what happened. And since then, loss of determination, loss of zip, loss of punching power, it would seem. And he, I would say even back then he looked a bit fragile. He's always looked fragile, but now he's looking more fragile than ever.
Yeah.
And I would say he looks like a typical amateur, a typical picture perfect amateur,
Exactly that.
scoring his points and like holding on the just shelling up and holding on the inside. But he doesn't. The main, I would say, because we're looking at the perspective of where does he go from here. Well, I don't know about his heart. I don't know. I know, and also I don't want to sort of go into it too much, but I know he did divorce his wife. Maybe that has something to do with it.
Yeah.
Some
Yeah.
people deal with that better than others. But um, where does he go from here? Well, we need to look at his heart. That's a factor. Can that be fixed? Um, I would say he's got more chance of fixing it than Daniel Dubois because although he's tried to just go the distance, he's never actually quit the fight.
Yeah. And
So
if he wanted to quit, I could see him quitting against Bacoli because Bacoli did hurt him. So,
yeah,
like you said, there's definitely, funny enough, Don Charles is both the trainers of Dubois and
yeah.
Yoka, and they both have that mentality problem. So let's see what Don Charles can do. With Yoka, I wouldn't retire just yet. You're young enough to come back. You're 31. I think with boxing fans, yeah, he might be done at the top level, but there's still maybe domestic fights to be made.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't retire. Like you're still too young. But do you know what it is? If he's been knocked out 3 times, then I'll say consider it. Like, okay, for your own health. But he hasn't been knocked out. He's never been seriously hurt that he's been left sprawled out on the canvas. I know he got dropped against Bacoli, but I think it was kind of went down voluntarily. Takai was taking some punches. It's not even a whiskers thing. Like if he had a bad chin, then yeah, but I've never seen him hurt like he's stumbling around the ring. So it's obviously just a mentality thing. So it could be fixed. Maybe just take a year out, get new
Yeah.
settings, leave France, just freshen up. Do you know what I mean? And let's see what goes on. Let's see what goes on.
Have a final charge.
Yeah,
I just want to say before we move on from Tony Yoka, that I do think, a lot of it could be hard, but there are a few technical adjustments. And it's funny, me, being a novice talking about Olympic gold medalists making a technical adjustment, but here we go. Um, I feel like all he needs to do, like one of the big technical adjustments he could make is like just use the use of the lead hand, like because
yeah,
sometimes when he's keeping his opponents, he is throwing the jab at range and he is trying to fire range, but he allows the pocket to collapse too quickly. Like he allows the opponent to just close the gap with absolute ease, and then he seems to be his solution to the gap being closed seems to be this, like
yeah,
just
yeah,
that.
exactly that. And then
Um,
when he's doing it, the shorter 5'11" opponent will just work in his body because he could. So, like
exactly.
you said, there needs to be serious technical adjustments being made. Like his style so amateurish, like it's so amateurish, and you need to really change that. So,
Yeah, something simple like the lead hand there, like when the opponent tries to close the gap, put something in his face and then use your footwork. Like there are a few technical adjustments that can be made there, and I do think with the right trainer he could probably do it. Is it going to be Don
yeah,
Charles? Well, I don't think so, but personally, but like yeah, I feel like it's not quite the end yet. I'm
it's
more
not the end,
skeptical of
100%.
Dubois than I am of Yoka.
Yeah. And
Um,
also, I want to mention one thing. I think he should invest in a strength and conditioning coach, not even as a violation. Genuinely, like he's a big guy and he seems weak. He comes into the ring heavy as well. He just seems really frail and weak. Like I'm seeing smaller guys pushing back. Maybe add
yeah,
a bit of weight. Like just add a bit of strength to your 31. Like you're not a teenager or a young adult anymore. You're a mature guy. You're not an amateur. I still think maybe the way he trains is still very amateurish. You've got to be light in your feet. Maybe just get a bit of strength to you, add a bit of weight. So let's see.
yeah, that's a brilliant point. Didn't think of that, but it's very true. But he just fragile is the word.
Very fragile.
Um, let's talk about Gorman.
Yeah.
Another one. The trend, man. They meant losing the comeback fights. Yeah. Did you watch some of it against?
So when you mentioned it, I went to go online. I saw the fight. Um, if I obviously you told me Gorman's weight, but Gorman's never been body beautiful. He hasn't had the best physique, but this one here was generally taking a piss. Like it was 296 pounds. Let's just put this in reference. Gorman's about what, 6'2"?
Yeah, right about that.
6'2".
Yeah.
He weighs more than his cousin, Tyson Fury, who's 6'7", 6'8". Let's put that into perspective. You shouldn't be weighing more than Tyson Fury. You're 296 pounds. They matched you with a mover. Like it was all. If I knew about this fight before, I'm not. Hindsight's a good thing, but I'm not just saying that. But I genuinely would have been picking Miranets to beat him just because he's a mover, can use his feet. Gorman plods around the ring like it's kind of destined to lose. With Gorman as well, he's had the same issue. Every fight he wants to lose weight, this, that. I just feel like if you haven't lost weight now, you're not going to do it again. I just think he's an unserious heavyweight with Nathan Gorman. He's got skills, like I say, but he's never proved it. The two biggest fights in his career, he's been stopped in devastating fashion. It's the
Yeah,
harsh
man.
truth. It's the harsh truth. I know he's got skills. We've seen it, but if you're not dedicated as a pro, if you can't even come into the ring in shape, but no one's saying to have a six pack, just come in shape. Then I don't know what he does. Like I said, I don't know what he does because it's not like we can go to him and be like, okay, you've come from European level, you've come from fringe road level. Let's go back down to British level. You've lost that British level. So it's like, where do you go from here?
Yeah, man. I don't honestly don't know where he goes from here. I think a lot of it is mental. I see boxing ability within him. He does have like boxing ability, but I feel like a lot of it is the mentality. Now, I don't
Yeah,
know. He seemed to be very confident pre the Dubois fight, and then he lost the Dubois fight. And I heard he had some things going on like in the build up to that fight. So you kind of give him a pass on that. Um, and then he fought Richard Latte. So he had a break and he fought Richard Latte, and I believe that's the first weight jump. So if I go on to BoxRec, and I see, is everything still running with me? Yeah, while I went
Yeah,
on to
yeah,
BoxRec,
yeah,
cool,
yeah,
cool,
yeah.
cool. So I go on to BoxRec and I'm gonna type in Nathan Gorman, and let's see. I'm just looking at his weights. Um, let's have a look. Let's have a look. So but for the Daniel Dubois fight, he weighed 256 pounds, and I believe he was in that sort of category, even weighing as low sometimes as 245.
Yeah.
And then it was after the Dubois fight, he then came back against Latte and was in the 270s, and I thought that was too much.
So the
And
fact that
then
he's jumped up 20 pounds from that is really concern. Like he put on 40 pounds from the Dubois fight, and in the Dubois fight, he wasn't body beautiful.
no.
So it speaks volumes about his work rate.
So if I'm giving him a pass because of like what happened with the Dubois fight, I don't know if those situations were resolved, but obviously there are clear mental issues, and it's a shame because he was another like one of the prospects coming up that the people were talking about. And I feel it's a real shame. And then obviously this loss here, that really does signal the end because if I look at his opponent here, his opponent lost to Spilmont, put it in perspective, the
Yeah,
guy who
that's
fought
bad. Alan Babbage.
Babbage. Yeah, he lost to
Yeah,
UD to Spilmont. So that tells you everything you need to know about the level that Nathan Gorman is fighting at the minute. I think I'll be honest, I'm gonna like say it's the end for him. I'll be happy to be proven wrong, but I can't see any way
like I
back for
say, if
Nathan
he's
Gorman.
lost at British level, not even in competitive fights, you've been decimated twice. The only fight I could really see for him is a comeback versus both fighters coming off losses, and that's Adelaide versus Gorman. That's the only big fight I could realistically seen be made now. But yeah, let's see. Let's see. If I'm
Mhm.
Gorman, I would get in shape, take 6 months just to get not even boxing, just get into shape.
Yeah.
Then let's challenge these lot. But yeah, like I say, it's very interesting.
Yeah, I can actually see him going down the opponent route. I don't know why.
Or
Not
just be
full time
yeah,
journeyman, but like a few guys like he would take. I can see being trying to be a test for a few. He in his mind he might see it as he should be winning the fight, but he get the call up for a few guys coming up. I don't know why I can
yeah,
just see
yeah,
that.
yeah,
And then him losing every single time. But it's a shame how it's gone. He's got some skills. He showed that against Wardley, actually. He showed that
yeah, yeah,
even in the first round against Dubois. I think Dubois intimidated him round two when he felt the power, but he was doing some good things in the first round against Dubois.
yeah.
Um, but either way, moving on. Yeah, I just sort of before we sort of leave it, I wanted to ask if there's any thoughts you have for the Saudi card that anything changed or just briefly because that is going to creep up on us. That's
Yes,
12
literally what
days.
less yeah, yeah, literally less than 2 weeks. There's a couple thoughts. Obviously Deontay Wilder and Malik Scott have been releasing videos of Wilder looking more elusive. Doesn't look natural, but it's looking better than what he was doing before. And I'll be very interested to see maybe if that's his permanent style or as soon as he gets hit with a big shot, he reverts the type. Because if Wilder can get down some basic skills, he'll be more effective than obviously what he is now. So I'm very interested to see how that goes. Obviously, as a neutral, obviously I've got horse in a race in the Saudi card, but as a
Yeah,
neutral, I'm really looking forward to see Deontay Wilder live, live. I want to see him fight. I want to see what it's like. Parker's a good test for a comeback fight. Not the best, but acceptable. Parker is dangerous. But yeah, apart from that, really, I still maintain that as a neutral, my favorite, apart from the Joshua Wallin fight, my favorite fight on that card is the Bois Miller, just because it can go two ways.
yeah,
So
man. Yeah,
I'll be
obviously
very
you're gonna back your
interested.
cousin, man. That's got to be the
Yeah,
number one fight. But come on, man. But then after that, it's Wilder. Was it? I know you want your interest in the Wilder one, wasn't? Wait, didn't you say also?
The Bois Miller's the fight
Yeah,
I'm
that's it.
I'm most
Yeah,
interested in, apart from the main event. Like I really want to see that fight because I want the Bois to win, but I've said that the Bois, in my opinion, I think he wins early. But if Miller beats the Bois, I think that's the end of the Bois, man. I don't know where he goes from there if he loses. Miller, like I say, I can see him going down the opponent route. I can see him getting fed to Anderson or someone like that, or Richard Torres or someone like that. But with Dubois, I can't see him turning into an opponent. So it's like if he loses, you're not done, but you're done at world title level. Like you're gonna have to start fighting people like Fabio Wardy, which I still think Dubois would decimate Wardy, but you're gonna have to go down to that level if once you finish, if you lose to Miller.
Yeah, for sure, man. I can see when you're talking about Miller being that opponent, I can see him, like the guy, Kevin Johnson, every single time he fights someone, he's
Yeah,
the opponent, he knows it, but he's still going, I'm gonna beat
yeah,
your
yeah,
ass, I'm gonna
yeah,
do
yeah,
this and
yeah,
that.
yeah,
It's gonna be easy. And then he goes in
yeah.
there and just like survives. Like I can see Miller, not the style wise, but like he go in and lose every time, but every time it's I'm gonna beat you up and you know it, I know it. It's gonna be easy.
Yeah,
This is taking candy from a baby, man. And then he goes in
exactly.
there and like loses. I can see Miller doing that a little bit, but honestly, that fight is definitive for Dubois. Like it
He
really
has
is.
to win it. He has to win it. Like
And
career's on the line.
only way I can see any hope for him in a loss is if he loses valiantly. If he loses on his shield, like, and he actually fights like and loses on his shield like that. But if he loses the same manner that he's lost his other fights,
Ooh, if he
it's
quits
done.
again,
It's done. It's
if you
done.
quit again, yeah, I from a marketing perspective, I genuinely don't know how you could change that. I don't know how you could two times is crazy. Three times is just unacceptable. You can't because
Yeah,
it just
man.
basically means you're a flat trap bully. You can bang but can't take a bang.
It will be like almost like go chill with Everett Molina. Like
Yeah, yeah, literally,
uh,
literally, literally.
I don't know how because they have kind of put like a PR stunt on and they have kind of like got everyone to say the right things when Daniel Dubois lost to Joyce. They kind of like at first the commentary were like, yeah, he quit or whatever. And then I
They
think
tried to say,
Frank
oh,
Warren
he's young. Yeah,
put
yeah,
them on lock and he was like, nah, man, you can't say that. Then they came out I think there was a card the next week, and then like you see David Hay at first he's like he quit, and then the next week he was like he wanted to keep that Queensby paycheck. So he was like,
yeah,
oh, I
yeah,
didn't
yeah.
know the extent of the injury, and and then
Exactly.
like but then they did that time. The next time, the quit was kind of overshadowed by the body shot controversy. So no, like if it wasn't for the body shot controversy and he just went down like he did, people would be talking about it more.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
So he kind of got away with it two times. He's been protected two times with the quit. But this, if he does it again, there's
that's
no,
it. Yeah, that's it. That's it.
he's done. He's
He's
done.
done,
He's
done,
done
done,
with,
done, done.
which would be a shame because I see, I don't know Daniel Dubois, but like, I see he does some things well, and it's a shame to see that go to waste like that, in
Yeah,
my opinion.
100%.
Um,
100%.
either way, man, I feel like, yeah, unless there's anything you want to briefly mention before we leave
Nah,
off.
that's it with me. We'll definitely get another video having just going in depth each fight in the Saudi card, like how fight goes, prediction. So guys, make sure you tune into that. That's going to be a good video. 100%.
Yeah, man. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, hit the notification bell so you get a notification when we make a new video. And we will be back with a new video before you know it. Take it easy.